And I think also the fact that a lot of our athletes or a lot of our sports professionals also don't get that education. They're not well equipped after they are done playing to then divert or convert this passion into results in terms of leadership and administration. Because they're just passionate about sports. But they didn't know anything about running a league. They didn't know anything about raising finance. They didn't know anything about even media, communication. How many of them can you bring in? So these are the challenges that you see. So now for me, the case of please, there are so many job opportunities in this sports ecosystem. Can we start building the talent that will begin to create them with capacity? You know that the NBA will come from America to Nigeria and will still go employ, Nigerian based in New York.
Welcome back to this Game of Legends podcast. This discussion highlights challenges such as infrastructure deficits, lack of proper leadership, and the need for policy changes to nurture young talent. Aiming to elevate the potential of Nigerian basketball teams and drive collaborative development in Africa's sports ecosystem.
Hello everyone, another episode of this Game of Legends, and I have the privilege of having with me here Oluwafemi Adefeso. He's a sports business manager. He is the founder of Ball Africa and a basketball enthusiast. Mr. Femi, thank you for joining me on this session today. How are you doing?
Again, just to be confused to discuss sports, what we know.
Absolutely.
We love to talk about, we love to play, we make money from it.
Very important. Okay, so you founded Ball Africa. Can you just please tell us a bit about it? When did you start it? What is it about? What are your goals and objectives? Just your mission. Just an overview for the viewers to learn more about you and what you were doing.
Right. So Ball Africa is an acronym. BALL. It stands for Ball, Activating Literacy and Leadership. Yeah, so that's the full pronunciation. It's an acronym for, just like it speaks to itself, using sports, to drive literacy and leadership amongst Africans, not just Nigeria. Dominantly, the idea came in 2018 after I went to the United States to cover the NBA All-Star weekend. At some point in my life, I got to be a journalist, working on radio and television, right? So I had the opportunity to go all the way to the United States to cover the NBA. After the All-Star weekend, I applied for credentials to cover regular season games. So I went to Chicago. The All-Star game was in LA. So I went to Chicago to cover some Bulls games, and then I went to Indiana. Then Victor Oladipo was also at the Indiana Pacers, and it was like, the next big Nigerian thing. So I got an interview with him. But most importantly, the turning fork was interviewing LeBron. And I remember me asking him what it would be like for him to come to Africa. Because at that time, the BAL was not formed. It was the NBA Africa game. It was like an all-star game where we had first generation, second generation Africa called Team Africa against the world. It was, players from every other place. So I just asked him. Laughing also on the fact that the Black Panther movie was what was seeing, that year. And then we were talking about Wakanda. There was this craze about Africa all of a sudden. And asked me. That's a great thing on my Instagram and my Twitter till now. And I asked him if he would love to come. And he said, yeah, he would love to. They schedule the play site, updating, and all of that. So for me, the reason for that question was the fact that my passion for basketball pushed me to say someone like this can have his presence here. It can catalyze a lot of things. PR, marketing, and other opportunities that can come, maybe even investment, funding, sponsorship, and if you did this, the Ball Africa event, even though at the time I had not incubated the idea, right? So getting back home to my cousin's place, I remember I was in the room, and then it dawned on me that guy, like, we just interviewed. I played NUGA games. I was captain of my school. I played the national sports festival. I represented the state at the festival. So it wasn't a case of the fact that I didn't even play. I played. I had aspirations to play in the NBA. So this was like a full circle moment that I mean, I'm in the locker room in this guy standing in front of me, you know. So I did not achieve the dream of playing professionally, but my passion for the sport still brought me into that sport, which almost didn't make a difference. The only difference was the fact that I didn't have a number on my back with my name on it. I probably was making $20 million a year, right? So it doesn't mean that I'm actually living this dream that I had as a 15, 16, 17-year-old, out there in Lagos, right? So that is me. And I carry the burden of the fact that look, it is clear that you can live your sports dream. And the truth is, there's no one way to it. Like the barbecue is the honor come order. Right? So this was another route that I used to achieve this dream, that I never even imagined. At the end of the day, I was just getting my passion, and I got so that put a burden on me to come back home to say, you guys, you can get to the end, you can be a professional, you can, but you don't have to be an athlete. Being an athlete is not the only avenue. It's not the only way, for you to, live this sport dream, this burning passion that you have for sport. Because man, I worked out 2 hours every morning. I had a crazy thing. For like 3 years of my life, because I really wanted to go through. I remember during my studies year, I would run for an hour, like run. I didn't jog, like I would run. And I would try to beat my time. I think my personal best was the same distance I did in 45 minutes. So I put in the work, but unfortunately, Nigeria was Nigeria. And I'll be very honest. I think the opportunities I got, I also didn't pick up the sport early enough to harness it. So that's another reason, which I'll go back to, how Ball Africa has more. I realized very quickly that you need to get this message across to all these younger. Because I had friends who travel to the US, but they have to doctor their age and all of that. Basketball is different from football. You have to go to the college route, so you have to spend more time in the developmental stages. And imagine you taking 6, 7 years or and then you have to spend another 3, 4 years in college before you get to the
And then go through a
right.
drafting.
Yeah, exactly. So very quickly, I saw the realization of the fact that look, that route might be too long. You can look at it, sports has an entire value chain. Someone is the social media analyst, someone is the medical guy, the trainer, the physical trainer, the physio, someone is the media PR guy, someone is the agent, someone is the administrator on the front office, negotiating deals, managing the team. I think even one basketball team has like, maybe 50 jobs. If the guy carries his ID card and tells you, I work at Manchester United, it's not different from Marcus Rashford, right? Because he works at Manchester United,
Yes,
right?
they're all employees.
Even if it's just a photographer taking pictures every other Saturday or Sunday, so it's actually thinking. But I then doubled back to realize that the only reason why I believed I didn't play basketball was also because I didn't realize I could play basketball early. I was always playing football. Now, this was me in secondary school, who was on my school team, football. I ended up switching to the goalkeeper role. I was my school team goalkeeper for many years, in my senior years. And so I never really touched basketball until my second year in the university, when, of course, I was studying human kinetics. So, one of my lecturers just mandated it that we have to go on the field because the still are preparing for a tournament. And then I was like, I'm in school now to first, want to girls, want to do all of these things. So I didn't want to get myself dirty. So I just picked basketball. And by providence, I got onto the basketball court that day. I would never forget that encounter. And after the first practice, the coach then asked me, young man, where have you been? And I'm like, I've been in school, I was reading my book and all. And he said, I want to see you here tomorrow. Cut long story short, I made that thing, even though, I was a latecomer, the guys that were in their final year, so they needed to play that tournament for what, but I was in the squad. And that was how I became part of that team up until I went to third. That's NYC. So that put a burden on me as well to say, perhaps if I touched the basketball earlier, maybe when I was in primary school or when I was in junior secondary, and somebody spotted me somewhere, they would have pushed me towards that angle. because my profession was so quick. I played for the school, then I got selected by scouts and the State Sports Council to come to camp for the National Sports Festival. I think in 2006, Gateway Games. You know, I didn't make the state team, but I was invited to camp. I made the team within 1 year. I'm already being called up to the state. You know, and for me, I lost an opportunity because as at the time, I thought I was fairly good enough. I use that word without modesty. The opportunities I got were opportunities that needed me to reduce my to take advantage of. So I was already 21, you're looking at 15-year-old or senior to go to junior college and high school. And I was there in God. 20, I'm in my third year or fourth year, going back to 15. Some of my friends did it, take it, right? But for me, I already did the math. My conscience just couldn't take it. So I didn't take any of it. I had a opportunity to go to Germany, I had a opportunity to go to Italy, and then the US. And then the guy ended up not taking. But I'm glad that eventually after my service year, when I gave myself 1 more year to push, that if my talent at my level could not get me to the pros, then it just meant I wasn't good enough, right? And of course, I didn't pick the sport early, so there are too many things that I didn't know in terms of skill gap, right? I had not played organized basketball like that. So also all of those things, were not things I was exposed to. So I knew my lapses already. But there was no opportunity to even learn those things. But getting to the league wasn't properly run. I couldn't get a good academy to join. Even though I bounced off the academy, but I just knew that he told me, let's start looking at something else. I said the problem for me is a lot of people are trapped, not having a second option. I had the option because I went to school, I finished school. So a few of my friends back then, because all they were concerned about was playing basketball, so even when basketball wasn't working for them, they held on to it. Some ended up taking those opportunities I didn't take. Some of them got good scholarship offers in D1 college, play college, but I don't think anyone really cut it to the close. Because eventually these things you always started, right? That also is one of the reasons why I do Ball Africa and why we run an equipment drive to say if you can get a ball into the hand of the child as early as possible, maybe you will enjoy into the sport, maybe you will play it in such a way that a scout, a coach, the school, somebody will see it and be like, this guy is special, we're going to have to take care of him in a special way and develop the skill and the capacity. On the other hand, wanted to say, look, sports is an entire value chain, right? The ecosystem is massive. It's like medicine. If I ever think that I think that the curriculum needs to be changed, yeah, because there's so many sub layers, from the legal side to the medical side to the administrative side, then even to the player itself, the player management, the media and PR, it's just so much. So even if you love sports, can we be deliberate about saying, okay, I want to be a sports physiotherapy, a sports surgeon, foot and ankle surgeon, or I want to be, a writer, a commentator, a content creator for sports, or that's only a camera guy, I want to take lovely pictures. Whatever it is, you can actually apply the same passion. So that's why we try to do with our advocacy, at Ball Africa. We try to engage schools, we try to engage sports clubs and academy, the local academy, and then you drive for raising equipment. So you try to see how you can raise equipment. I've got a few friends from the US who are thinking shoes, donated balls, soccer boots as well. And we're not limiting it to just basketball. Yes, I have a passion for basketball, but generally I have a passion for the sport to take effect. Because I also feel like jobs are opening up, things are getting more professional, software is being used, literally the import of, the foreign influence. Africa is a virgin market. The Western world understands this. So, you are hearing of Super League, you are hearing of the BAL, who are doing that take those jobs? Because we are not learning to take those jobs. We are just obsessed about being the next job by or Samonete and Mitelebi, when you can also be all of these things and more. So for me, the advocacy is really important. I try to do that and we try to give equipment. There are other sub layers to be some of the other things that we do, like mentorship. We've had a few professionals who some played and some didn't play sports, but their sports passion led them to the career path, whether as a lawyer or as a psychologist or as a therapy. I think it's giving out over 230 shoes and balls, equipment about his feet. My goal actually is to give 100,000 X calendar year, so that in 10 years I'd have done a million. The so far, I mean, we were great.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I can relate so much because it's something similar to what we're doing at Lumont. And it's not just about Ball Africa, but also your story. Same things for me. It's about similar, just difference in minor details. I tried to play pro for so if in fact I was so dedicated and committed that a lot of people thought I was a professional footballer. If you ask my friends right now, they will tell you I played pro. I got to a certain level in my career, but like you mentioned, the lack of organized foundation at the beginners level, a lot of clubs, a lot of countries, systems now play kids. The system starts to nurture and mentor kids from a very young age. We don't have that in Nigeria. So I played football when I was in primary school up until secondary school, captain, school team, and all that. The passion really came in when I left high school. So I can understand exactly what you're talking about, especially when it comes to the lack of support, the lack of fundamental tools and infrastructure to really groom and help youngsters develop. I also had the same things. I had offers that required me to reduce my age. As funny as it sounds. So thank you for sharing that. So Ball Africa right now, you're giving out shoes, giving out balls. Again, similar to what we're doing at Lumot. We've done a lot of that. And I've noticed a pattern. There's a lot of us in Nigeria, in Africa, who have strived to get to that level, professional level. But we end up not going there and go the route of sports business and sport development. We're looking at the grassroots, looking to help young stars develop young talents, nurture them, like you have in your leadership and advocacy programs. So, what do you think the challenges are with nurturing the youngsters? I have a lot of different theories. I believe in football, for instance. If our Premier League sides have on the 4, on the 6, on the 8, you see this in European clubs a lot. That's why, I mean, I'm not going to go into the comparisons. We don't have
Yes.
that here in Nigeria. Is that the way to go? Basketball team? Is it the federation? Is it the academic system of the basketball federation? What do you think the challenges are in terms of identifying the youngsters, looking after them, their growth, their development, and end up becoming pro stars in the future?
Olumide, that question is an hydra head,
However, you
and
can from any angle, please just share whatever it is.
problem is enormous, right? For sport to work. Easily, from a policy standpoint, sport is still not recognized as a business in Nigeria. It's still recreational. So that's
Like I
why
said,
the
we don't have
sector,
an industry. Sports is not an industry yet. Sorry, continue.
yeah. So it's tough to even get corporate to get involved because I mean ROI is what they look at, and that's why you end up getting CSR money, right? What can we do? Okay, let's just give them this. But that's not how it's done in the Western world. It's proper investment vehicle because you need to make money. That's why people are struggling. Even the Middle Eastern billionaires are struggling to buy things in EPL because they know if I own the thing for another 5, 10 years, if I want to exit, I'm cashing out, right?
Yeah.
So that's one aspect. But I think it's from the foundational level, policy is one, yes. Because, so for example, if you say corporate own a thing or bank own a thing, you know, that money will write it off, on your tax sheet. So my policy is also very foundational and important. But I also think for even that to work, the biggest problem is infrastructure. You don't have proper cost center. You will not believe Nigeria does not have a gymnasium that can host a proper NGA. I don't know if it's been to the national stadium lately. I don't know why that sector is still standing. If you just put the place down, yes, it's an historical site, take all the pictures, do all the documentaries. I think that's where Wembley was constructed, right? Just the thing when the three lions won the World Cup that exists today. So we have an infrastructure deficit. If you look at the population that you have, I know football is relatively kind of easy to play. That goes also into the fact that where the monitoring and compliance and all of that come to play. That's why we need proper recreational parks and centers. You talked about organization, proper organized sport. That's why you can organize competition and all of that. A lot of us don't know exposed to that because there are no court. I'll give you a personal story. In my secondary school, we did not have a basketball court. I remember when I was in GST, we used an uncompleted building to build basketball court. And by the time the building was built, before that term ended, we had no court again. The last time I touched the basketball in a secondary school was then in my final year when we played on sand, literally. Imagine playing basketball on red sand. So if our cultural deficit is something, right, that's another aspect of the problem. Then school sport. I mean, when I was in secondary school, at least we did principal cup, there were different kinds of state competitions and national shell cup, those things. I don't know what they are. Right. So developmental school sports is seemingly, in a state of coma state. So if you look at it, as I said, it's multi-layered. Those are the kind of competitions that make you prepare, you play, organized sports you just said, then you compete, you feel even better than you, crowd to see you, they begin to invite you to their programs. I remember the Safety Academy was very popular. They train you and you think they don't want to play in the league. Then you leave school sports, you go to NUGA games. NUGA games also almost non-existent. That was like the semi-pro tier because once you're able to do well at the NUGA games, all the states are fighting for you because you are now going to play the National Sports Festival. And the Sports Festival was like national trials. You are good at the sports festival, then the national teams are calling you to come and be a part of it in whatever sport that you do. And even the sports festival, where is it? Why is it not, a national thing? Like it's supposed to be like a
Because
whole
the
country.
publicity, the media, they all have to be involved for it to achieve its
Yeah,
purposes.
yeah, all the states are busy preparing because they want to win. They're looking at all their secondary schools around their universities, just playing for talent, investing. You don't see that anymore. It was like that when we were kids. So you look at it, you see, all these things are layers upon layers of malfunction, that hasn't helped sports become attractive. Because now the corporates look at it and say, what do I want to invest in? Now we are now solely dependent on diaspora talent because we refuse to invest in local talent and the conveyor belt to drive this thing up. So the problems are a bit multiplicated and it's quite challenging. But again, I guess that's why people like us are here at this time. They just pick a problem, try to solve it. You can't solve everything. But what's most important is pick one, try to solve it. But more importantly, be that beacon of light. Because if, for example, tomorrow I get to work for the NBA as whatever, vice president, I did it from here in Lagos, right? I built myself from here. And so if I'm telling a kid that, look, kid, I see you want to play, but please go to school. Because, even if this thing does not work, you can be where I am. So, yes, I'm not LeBron James, right? But I am Femi Adefeso, the X and Y. So it sort of puts a good pressure on me to say, look, you want to see that this thing goes. Because a whole lot of life actually depends on your story of success. And I think also the fact that a lot of our athletes, a lot of our sports professionals also don't get that education. They're not well equipped after they are done playing to then divert or convert this passion into results in terms of leadership and administration. Because they're just
Absolutely.
passionate about sport. But they didn't know anything about running a league. They didn't know anything about raising finance. They didn't know anything about even media, communication. How many of them can you bring in? So these are the challenges that you see. So now for me, the case of please, there are so many job opportunities in this sports ecosystem. Can we start building the talent that will begin to pay them the capacity? You know that the NBA will come from America to Nigeria and will still go employ, Nigerian based in New York to come and take the job when there's a senior Adefeso here in Lagos who knows the basketball landscape in Nigeria, like can go to any state to develop any kind of concept and work into any ministry, or even they who's doing just in the next and the people in the Lagos FA and all of that. So for me, those are like my passion points now that's really driving me. And that's why sports marketing, even though I started in media, sports marketing, sports events, graphic sports are things that, I'm really seeing and believing right now. But the challenge is always the finance, getting the support. And that's why again, I think it still also needs to depend on the actor on this side and to be able to let me use Nigerian parlance, still working for all of these things and you get believers who don't begin to take the greater good or
I
greater
agree
effect.
completely. Thank you for that. Completely, I agree. When I was in secondary school, I dabbled a bit into basketball. We had a huge football field, we had a basketball court, and every now and then, I remember the basketball court was closer to the classrooms. So those 5, 10 minutes breaks, we just rush to the basketball court and start bouncing off footballs because no one had basketball. We all had footballs. But we
Right.
had to be innovative in playing basketball. So I dabbled into it for a bit. I can say I was fairly good, but football had always been my passion. But you can still see the challenges from that age group, from that level. You could see that a lot of kids were undecided. You can tell that they love sports, they had the passion, they had the talent, but they were undecided what sports in particular. Up until a lot of us finished high school, there were
Yeah.
still doubts as to, okay, I love sports. What I want really do? What do I really want
Yeah.
to do? So they can see the lack of mentorship, the lack of education. So I agree with you completely. The challenges are enormous and multifaceted. The lack of funding, lack of investments, lack of infrastructure, mismanagement, and then lack of education, mentorship. So when we look at Nigeria, right, we see that football, it's easy for everyone to say they want to play football. Like you mentioned, you can just have a small pitch, 5 aside, 3 aside, like we call it monkey posts. You could use your shoes as goalposts. You could use tires, your school bags. In basketball, you don't have that. The options are not that much. You need baskets, you need hoops to shoot the ball through. You can't just makeshift that on the street. So you can see
Yeah.
that it's a lot more difficult for aspiring basketballers. Number two is in Nigeria, in Africa, well, in the world, we know football is the biggest sport, but there are a lot of nations that are actually maximizing the potentials of their basketball athletes or the federation itself. In Nigeria, in particularly, there seems to be that huge gap between football and other sports. Basketball is second, but not close. And after basketball, the third is not even close. I don't even know what the third is. I would say track and field.
Yeah, we need speed and boxing really.
Yeah. So what do you think basketball needs to close the gap to football? There's talents. I know we have a
Mm.
Premier League, the basketball Premier League with about 14 or 16 teams. And out of every 10, 15 persons you speak to, just barely one or two of them have some knowledge of basketball in Nigeria. I am a footballer. I am a football manager and sport, but I would like to also, sports in general. Bro, I don't want to focus on just football. That's why I'm connecting with people
Right.
like you and other like minds in the industry. So, what do you think basketball needs for it to really blossom as a federation in Nigeria and other sports in general?
Thanks, Olumide. I think first of all, I touched on it a little bit in infrastructure. Like you said, you can't make it. So you need investment in infrastructure. So there needs to be more park. There needs to be more court. Um, in US that we mentioned, there are parks almost everywhere. Let me even bring it to Angola that dominated Africa in a while. Fortunately for me, I haven't been there before. Or fortunately for me, I haven't been there before. But I hear actually every alley that you can get to any community, there's a basketball court, right? So you start accessing it. People walk in, they just play basketball, just like you play football here. I mean, infrastructure is very important. It's key for the greater game of basketball. We don't have enough. There's a deficit across the country. That's one part. The other part is the fact that leadership. I mean, as close to second as basketball is, we know how people who have announced the successes that. Yeah, so what I tell young people is, which is what we try to focus on Bell Africa, is you can't control the leadership. Yeah, it's really none of your business. There's no point. So what you need to focus on is your skill, development, the capacity. And I think it's not easier now for the kids of today than when we are doing it because of the internet. So you can post a video of your workout session, of a competitive game, and some scouts can send them with TV and talk to you. I remember a case of a young girl, Daytola, who jumped to basketball. Personally, I had like three people reach out to me and they were willing to bring the girl to the United States. As we speak, she's currently in New York, in a school in New York, because she put herself out there. I think that's pretty much what we speak today. Today, focus on the core skills. Can I learn photography? Can I like video editing? Can I learn, SEO management, digital marketing, um, all of those skills? Because you just never know which one you will do that gives you the opportunity to be in those rooms or get this opportunity that you dream of. All right. I remember a very classic case of Lava Ball, who has two sons to try to get his three sons to the NBA. Alonso, who now is with the Chicago Bulls, was drafted by the Lakers, and Lamelo Ball. But I agree on Lamelo. Lamelo, as a 12, 13-year-old, was almost destined to be in the NBA because they had a DJ that went viral from one of their AA games. And the young man ended up not going to college because he didn't play in college in America. His father took him to Lithuania, to one of the Eastern European countries, and the whole eyeballs were on him. And then he eventually went on to play professionally in the Australian basketball league. And I think that's where his game expanded. Playing with grown men. I mean, the Australian league is one of the top leagues. And he was drafted, I think, number 3 overall by the Charlotte Hornets. In essence, sometimes this thing, it might not necessarily be because of your talent, but because you know you can help them make money. Both talent and marketing is what they. I mean, I for one believe even the makers are doing the same by drafting John James. I mean, it's a great story to have father-son play. Of course, a lot of narratives and campaigns that they are going to put together, even for the James family themselves. This is, I think, why LeBron says really urgent and getting something as quickly as possible because you know the big and numbers, in the league. So overall, I think you can only control what you can control. I speak to it all the time. Look, I am a testament. I'm recognized as a journalist by the NBA. I travel to their events and I have access to some of these things, not because I play, right? And so if I didn't have an education as a backup, if I didn't get skill at all, if I didn't have knowledge, if I didn't have capacity, I would not have been able to harness any of these opportunities. So at the end of the day, there's just so much opportunities around there. There's so many problems, um, that needs to be fixed. But also at the same time, you need to also look at where you want to play. Because once you can identify the roles you want to play, I think you should begin to develop, our talent in that direction. Okay, so I want to play professional football. But can I start while I'm playing? Can I be getting my coaching badges or can I be going to understand what it is to be an agent or to be a sport director at the club or something? They're growing all of this capacity because it's not just going to be a right for you because you play. It means you can coach or you can become an agent. No, we need to be able to do things right and do things better. And so this for me, the conversations I have with a lot of young people, there are too many opportunities in this thing. You need to just stand down. Yes, you want to play, but and yes, to do many other things in here. And once you need to look at sports in that angle, even you, the way you approach any playing professionally, it be a lot different. Because you want to prepare more. You want because also you have a limited time frame, to exhaust the talent that you
100.
have because next. So you put in the work, then you start thinking of the next.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that. So it's looking at the leadership for what it is and not try to control it, not try to influence anything they do. Whatever we can control or influence is ourselves, so what we do within our capacity. And like we say, is best to diversify your portfolio. Like people will say, don't put all your egg in one basket, something to fall back on, something to add value to a different skill. So as a footballer, for instance, having good communication skill adds value to your talent. Communication is not a footballing skill, but it adds value to the skill you already have, which is what I teach. So young people right now should try to identify ways in which they can progress themselves, push themselves, develop themselves, and take advantage of those around them at the end of the day. So let's touch on the Olympics. Our female team did well against Australia. They're playing France next. What do you think the chances are in the current Olympics?
I think the chances are really high to get to the next level of the tournament because of kicking. The easy one, which is the math part, is the fact that Depending on how well you do, if you do the best testing in a gym and qualify, there are 12 things in the tournament, there are 3 games at 4, top 3 things qualify automatically, then the 2 of the best third one thing to then join them in the knockout phase. And I think this thing is more than good enough to do in that way, of the thing that goes into the next round. That's right. Second thing is, the way I get played against Australia, we play to our strength. They're a small thing, they have energy, you can run. It largely dependent on our ability to spot turnovers. And if you look at it, the difference is slightly, and I think that's our biggest strength. Apart from transition offense, I think our defense, because we made most of our points of turnovers, leading to ball intent, turnovers, interceptions, and then counter attack. So we called more from counter attack because we are able to make the experience make mistakes. Sometimes some of them are even on fourth terrace, and then we're able to capitalize on it on the other side. And if you're able to maintain the same pattern in terms of starting really well, it was very tricky. Before the Australians knew, the target already leading by double digits. So you're playing catch up every step of the way. And our next game is against France, and I think that could also be a blessing in disguise in the sense that there'll be pressure. Yes, it's supposed to be support, right? But if you're able to start very well and mount a lead, then that daring and support that you ought to be, then becomes pressure on the players. You're not going to disappoint their fans, and that might be their own doing at the end of the day. So I really think this set of guys, have their work cut out. Their experience, some are relatively young, fantastic players, and I see them going to the next round.
Great, great. I root for our basketball teams even more than I do our football team sometimes. I can see the strength that they have. And it's just sometimes hurtful and disappointing that sports could be used as a tool for societal development. When you focus on sports, look at the different factors that influence youth. Look at sports, politics, entertainment. We see sports is still the number one. And if only the leaders can identify sports to really get through to the younger ones, our youthful population. Mr. Oluwafemi Adefeso, thank you very much for joining me on this Game of Legends. It's been a very insightful, impactful conversation. Let's keep it going. I strongly believe that a few of us who are passionate about sports and make that change happen. Again, I mean, we can't always hold leadership accountable. We should, but that wouldn't solve anything. Let's figure out how we can work together, how we can make things happen together, and we should keep the conversation going. Before we close this episode, Mr. Femi, any last words for our viewers?
Yes, so I think we see the problem, right? If you look at solution, it is not also look at solution in a solution. I mean, Africa is a very young continent. Nigeria that we have a lot of talent to clearly, and that's why it is even the Western world is beginning to invest. But more importantly, I think for us who are players here, rather than try to do a game, I think it's to collaborate. Just reminds me of the cartoon when a game like Voltron or Power Rangers, always a bigger victory when it comes together. Because that way everybody wins together. And I think that's what we really need to do. More collaboration. All we want to do is okay, let's come together, let's create this company, can we do X, can we do Y together? And I feel like the ability for us to really collaborate is really where our real power lies. If you are going to achieve next in this ecosystem, because if you all already started in infrastructure, deficit, in leadership, deficit, in policy, deficit, so I would say if you love sports, there's an opportunity. I think it's on the horizon, it's on the brink of exploding, and if you're interested in it, let's come together, let's create some solutions. Yes, let's just make our nation and our continent great on the community for. And let's be the first players to get the set. The third is guys from outside come and take it away.
Yes, yes. Once again, thank you so much. It's been a privilege having you here. I'd love to, speak with you again sometime. Let's just continue speaking, and the sky is the starting point for us and for what we're doing. For our viewers, thank you for joining us. Video will be available on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and on Instagram and other social media platforms. Once again, Mr. Adefeso, thank you, and you have a great week.
You too,
Bye-bye.
sir. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. To follow our journey on this mission, kindly do not forget to subscribe and check us out on social media. Until next time.